Oh, in this episode, we're going to dive into the Celtics domination of the Clippers, particularly that 51-point second quarter. Give you advice on Thanksgiving politics, dinners at the table with your crazy uncle, and even dive into Boston bike lanes and a White House visit for the Celtics. But at the top of this pod, like we used to, I want to give you a couple bets for tonight for the NBA Cup. Tonight is Tuesday, November 26th, and here's what I like. I like the under in the Houston-Minnesota game. The game's in Minnesota. Minnesota's straight by 4. I want to stay away from that, but I want to go 220 on the under, which is a low number to begin with, but two defensively minded teams. I think the Timberwolves kind of unlocked something finally this season. The defense upside against the Celtics were really pressuring the three-point line and directing everything to Gobert at the rim. Gobert was excellent. I think that carries over. Houston brings that energy under Udoka as well. One other bet that I'm not sure I'm going to make, but I do like the Bucks getting 2 in Miami, and I like the Bucks. The bet that I am going to make, the Bucks are plus 160 to win their group. Right now, the Pistons are 2-0, and the Bucks are right there with one loss. But I think they're going to win tonight, and I'm not sure the Pistons are going to win out. And I like the Bucks at plus 160 to win their group play.
You're listening to...
They're going to call it a hard foul. They're going to call it a hard foul.
Good morning, everyone. We're coming to you the morning after the Celtics' big blow victory over the LA Clippers, 126-94. A triumphant return for Kristaps Porzingis. We can get into what we saw out of him, and just a barrage of 3-point shots in the second quarter. 51 points that broke this thing open. Mike, what's your main takeaways? Good morning, by the way.
Kevin Porter Jr. throwing the ball out of bounds because he couldn't handle a man pushing him on the post.
Yeah, I know. There's something satisfying about that. What a complete jackass that guy is. Referring to the play where Porzingis was, Pritchard was covering him on the post, and he just threw it to nobody.
Yeah, fuck that guy. He might have passed Steve Kerr on the cunt tree.
All right, what are your takeaways from last night's game?
What am I? Kristaps Porzingis, defensively, if he didn't play last night, Zubac might have scored 40 points. Like, his impact at the rim was noticed right away. He ended up with 2 block shots right at the rim. I think he disrupted a couple others. Offensively, he stretched the floor. He opened up lanes to the basket. It's great to have him back. And I was surprised, like, all the minutes he could play. He seemed impacted in the first quarter. He seemed winded. But after that first time out, it's like he caught his wind and he was fine. He made a huge difference, Jim. And obviously on the offensive end, it was there. But I really think it was the defensive end where he made a huge impact in this game, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, 22 minutes, 6 of 12 shooting. He finished with 16 points, 6 boards, a couple blocks. Was only a +3 in a game where they won by 30. But 22 minutes was definitely a good thing. 1 of 6 from 3, but I thought those shots were mostly back of the rim and looked pretty good. And he made a huge, like you said, you could just feel his presence on the defensive end. At least being able to bother Zubac, as well as clean up misses and not give Zubac, who's a terrific offensive rebounder, too many additional opportunities, especially where the Clippers were missing a lot of shots early in that game. So it was, I thought he looked good. And the thing for me that stood out is when the Clippers went on that run, Mike, in the third quarter, when they cut it to 15 from 29, what did the Celtics do? They immediately went to Porzingis on the high post 2 times in a row. He made a jump shot, got to the free throw line. Next time down, he caught the ball in the corner, ball fake, went to the rim with an easy dunk. A couple dribbles and a dunk, and it kind of got them going enough until they hit a couple threes. by Pritchard and Hauser late in that third quarter, which extended the lead back beyond 20, but he kept the game kind of from, getting to a point where the Clippers really felt like they were in it. And that's what the Celtics, I think, have been missing. And, you've talked about the inability to maybe close out teams with big leads. I think when things have been failing, they haven't had that. And on offense, and you felt it. You felt it. It kind of got them out of their rut and kept things afloat.
And then the bench last
good.
night, the shooting from Pritchard and Hauser. At one point, they were 9 for 12 from three. They came in that third quarter and really opened the game back up when the Clippers I think the Clippers got it down to 15, so it went down from 29 to 15. And then bang, the Celtics had 3 possessions. They scored 9 points on 3 threes by Pritchard and Hauser. So they were a big impact from them last night. Also, Kata came in and played some really good defense last night, which was nice to see. It's a good win overall against a tough team that was playing well. And I don't think the Clippers played bad. For the majority of that game, I thought they played pretty hard. They played pretty tough. It seemed like the game mattered to them. Harden was scoring the basketball. Obviously, Zubac was giving the Celtics a lot of problems inside. And it didn't matter. The Celtics were able to keep them at arm's length just by, having a historic second quarter, Jim, where they hit 12 threes last night in the second quarter if you missed the game. Everybody was hitting, and it's 2 games in a row that Jaylen Brown's been hitting his threes, which is a really good sign for the Celtics moving forward.
Yeah, at one point they were 8 of 10 from 3-pointers in that second quarter. It was insane. And you had a couple really acrobatic, crazy shots from Jaylen Brown that went in that weren't threes over that stretch. They were kind of amazing. The shots they were hitting, it was absolutely insane. And you brought up Pritchard, Hauser, and Kata. I'm glad you did because they only went 8 deep really yesterday, but those 3 guys were all awesome. Hauser was 3 of 3 for the game from 3-point line. Kata gave you 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks in 25 minutes. Pritchard just continued to do his thing out there, where he was 6 of 10 from 3 and, 4 assists. And they were plus 30, plus 27, plus 29 in a game you won by 30. So those 3 guys off the bench really gave you a spark and you kind of forget in a game where you have a second quarter like the Celtics did. It was a rock fight in that first quarter until that bench came in. And they hit some shots and they built out a small lead. Either was 5 or 7 points lead in that first quarter that obviously expanded into the second, but it was because those guys started making shots over the last 4 minutes of that first quarter when the bench came in. But prior to that, the Celtics and the Clippers were both struggling offensively. So I thought it was good. I thought the Celtics defense was really good. I think it's actually going on a couple games now where it's been better. I thought in Minnesota for the most part it was pretty good. And I don't know how you rate the Washington game. Washington didn't score a lot of points, but is that just Washington not being very good, or is it the Celtics?
These last 2 games were impressive.
Yeah,
these last 2 games defensively were impressive. We saw a lot of plays at the rim that led to transition points for the Celtics, where the Celtics were stopping the Clippers at the rim. One in particular, the Jason Tatum block, gets it, goes to the other end, and one. Another block at the rim. They get it to Pritchard. Pritchard's ball handling on the fast break alley-oop to KP. It was just it led to a lot of easy too. So really, yeah, I agree. Trending in the right direction, and KP certainly is going to help with that.
Yeah, and it's probably a number we just should keep paying attention to. The Celtics now 7 for 26. I mean, held the Clippers from 7 to 26 from 3-point line, 29%. They continue to just be really, really good in that area, game after game. In today's NBA, holding a team to only 7 3-pointers, especially when you hit 12 in one quarter, I think it's safe to say you're probably going to win the vast majority of the games you play like that. Any other thoughts on yesterday or going forward?
Yeah, I really this isn't so much to do with the game, but I really enjoyed Brad Stevens being on the call yesterday. I think it was in the second quarter
It
when the
was the
Celtics
second
were going
quarter, yeah.
off. Yeah, I would love it if they could do that more often. I mean, he is not afraid to be critical of the team, which I found interesting. You know, just hearing him almost like still like the coach inside of him. Oh, he's another point, another bucket in the paint,
Mhm.
another bucket in the paint.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really easy to blow a 30-point lead in the NBA. I was like, wow, this guy's never satisfied. Is the impression I got, but I just thought some of his insights and what he was sharing was a lot. You don't really get that from GMs. You don't really get that from people connected to their teams. I I liked it. I thought it was really good. I would love it if they could do that more often.
Yeah, no, I thought it was nice. It was a nice change. I think the broadcast over the last couple of years has really not been what we have been used to as Celtics fans throughout the course of our lifetime. Um, I think if I'm being honest, I don't think Scal's been very, very good this year at all. At times he seems to be watching a different game or more focused on the national stuff than he is the local. And Drew Carter is obviously pretty green. So I thought it was helpful for sure to have someone like Brad Stevens give insights as a GM. And like you said, he still has that coaching perspective on um on how things work out. And it was the one opportunity where they talked about Jeff Van Gundy yesterday and his role with the team last year. And I thought that was pretty insightful as well. But yeah, no, I thought overall, that's been one of my biggest disappointments with the Celtics is I just don't think the presentation on the telecast is really all that good at all.
Oh, it's not. I mean, you don't
No,
like when Drew Carter's talking about what shoes they're wearing,
I
you
know.
know. Uh,
And he's very
and then like,
deferential towards Scal, which I'm not so sure is what you need. I don't think you need someone deferential to Scal.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of a bully relationship there, Jim.
yeah,
If
it
I'm going to
feels
be
that way.
honest, I mean, it's not just Scals. I've seen Eddie House bully him too on TV. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know if Eddie House wanted the job. I'm not sure, but um, and I don't think Drew Carter's terrible or anything. But I
No.
also like he's kind of like similar to a lot of these guys. He's not unique in any way. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know if he's
he
a
looks like
fit
he
for
just came out
Boston.
of a Xerox machine from Syracuse, right?
Yeah,
You can tell he's not a Boston guy. He's very polished. He cares about his craft, all those things, but it doesn't have that Gorman dynamic that, you talked about being unique. That's what made Gorman so great is his local ties, his story, he calling games under the bleachers at different colleges, all the different sports he called, and then his genuine love for the Boston Celtics. You could just feel through the telecast. I think Carter will warm up to the team more as he calls more games here, but it's it's not what it used to be, and I don't know how you would have recreated that or found that nowadays. Anyhow, I don't know if there was a guy in the wings that you need. I mean, Grandy's great, but he's more made for radio with how long-winded he is. So I don't really know. And clearly Gorman, wasn't the same of what he used to be um, as he got older. But you know, it, he was a he's probably he was as good as they get. So it's tough shoes to fill. But it hasn't been great, at the same time.
yeah. I always
I
thought,
still think it's
and
subpar. I
I
turn on
thought
like the
Scouts.
Charlotte Hornets game, and they're so entertaining and so much fun. The play-by-play guy with Del Curry compared to what the
Yeah,
Celtics have.
and I always felt like I thought Scouts was good last year, but I agree about this year. doesn't always seem focused, I guess, on what's happening on the floor.
Yeah.
He'll be talking, yeah, which is, that's for your radio show. And he has a great radio. I don't know if you listen to it, but his morning radio show is one of the best shows on the radio. But it's not for the broadcast. I always wondered why it wasn't Max that replaced Tommy, because Max and Tommy kind of have a lot of similarities. As just entertaining people. They're different in their personalities, but I've heard people say Max is made for the radio. He's made for TV too.
Well,
he's good on camera, and he's funny as hell.
I even think Eddie House would be pretty good. Obviously, we haven't heard him enough, but I like the guys that are willing to kind of, show a side, like not really hide how they feel.
Exactly.
It's not buttoned up, and at times it feels like Scal is maybe because of the national profile he has now or his AAU stuff, and I get it, but it feels a little bit more buttoned up than I think it needs to be. Like, let loose on the officials sometimes if you think it's a bad call. Let loose, on what's happening on the floor. Bring that emotion. It's missing. It's very dry. It's very dry with a really, really good goddamn team,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, last night was a blowout. I think we got comfortable as Celtics fans over the last season last season what we saw was so unusual. You don't win like they did so consistently by so much. This year, what we've seen in this 15-3, but these closer games is more typical of an NBA season when you have great athletes and the top players in the world. Last night, that's my last takeaway. It felt a lot more like last season, and you just wonder if we're unlocking something here with getting Porzingis back. Obviously, we don't know how much he's going to play going forward, and if Neemias Queta gives you something similar to what he gave you last night as your backup center going forward, between him, Porzingis, and Al, oh boy, that's quite the depth at that position. And you just wonder what the ceiling is for a team like this. But that looked pretty good. It looked pretty good as we head into Chicago for the last NBA Cup game.
Yeah, I think we could be getting used to it again with KP back. Just defensively, when he's right, it makes such a difference. Guys can cheat. Guys can do other things. Derek White can block more shots. There's more steals. Saw that last night, actually.
You can do a little bit of what Minnesota does, right? Where they just press on that 3-point line and can be really physical out on the perimeter because helps there as it turns to the rim. You're not really worried about a guy blowing by you because if he blows by you, it's at the rim. It's going to be really difficult.
So I think the league's in trouble if he's good to go. And especially the nights where him and Al are both playing together, which we'll see against Chicago and Cleveland. I would assume they're both going to sit against Miami. They're probably going to go hard for that Cleveland game and then hope for the best against Miami. But when they're both out there too, when's the last time we really saw that? When's the last time we saw a healthy Al and a healthy KP?
Game 1, the NBA Finals.
Yeah, so now you have Al coming off the bench. You're going to have times where him and KP are out there together. You talk about that rim defense and the rebounding, and they both can shoot the ball. And Celtics. This is the unicorn that we traded for last season is back, and it is really good. It was really nice to watch him play yesterday. And Joe did a good job of game planning to try to get him involved right away, making him part of to get him comfortable right away. I know it's falling, but who cares? I think that's the right approach for a guy with his talent. Let's get him the ball early and often That's one thing I did agree with Scals with was, be aggressive, shoot as much as possible right now. Get a feel for it out there. So, good upcoming stretch here, Jim. And it was nice to see him back.
And I feel like they do that, maybe not to the extent they did yesterday, but I feel like that's part of what they would do last year, is they would just try to stretch defenses out early, and just showing that he's going to take that shot has to bring a guy like Zubac, or if it's Rudy Gobert or whomever, all the way out to defend. And that just unlocks everyone else. Like we talked about going into the game last night on yesterday's pod. Yeah, no, a heck of a stretch coming up. The NBA Cup, so people know, if the Celtics win, and Atlanta loses to Cleveland, they advance. If Atlanta wins, it doesn't matter if the Celtics win, Atlanta will advance, and then it would come down to point differential for like the wild card. And however that shakes out, if Atlanta wins and the Celtics win, then the only way they advance is if, they have the highest point differential of a bunch of teams.
Yeah. I really missed last night too. Tommy Heinsohn not being there. He would have called out Kevin Porter Jr. He would have said something. He would have made some sort of comment at some point during the game. Maybe would have been on that Pritchard defensive possession on the post where you kind of saw Drew mocking it a little bit. I thought, which I liked, but like Tommy would have came out and said it.
You can tell Carter wants to, in different instances like that.
He wanted reference.
Yeah.
So, just do it. I mean, like, what are you scared of? That guy shouldn't be on a team. That guy shouldn't be in the league. I mean, he's not that much better than Bones Highland that's on that team that he's getting minutes over him. What he did was disgraceful. And I don't know why he got a second chance. I don't know why he's on an NBA roster.
Well, I think it's like a third chance. And it's not just for him.
Yeah, it's not just beating women. Like, he did other things.
Yeah,
he hasn't been a good teammate in other places. Like, he's not a good person. I don't like that. Kind of pisses me off that he's playing.
That's where I think it should get back to, like, and it will never ever happen. But there should be consequences for teams that take guys on like this if they screw up again. Whether it's a monetary, like there's a fine, or if it's a draft pick thing, there should be consequences. Have Kevin Porter Jr. And then, you had the Bruins player that I'm forgetting his name this year, that they had to move on from because he had a domestic dispute after previously having something that was brought to.
Yeah, but they actually moved out. They actually moved on from him. That was last season. The Bruins actually moved on.
But they moved on. But they signed him knowing there was something in the past.
Oh,
so like I feel like when that happens, I just feel like if you're taking a risk on a guy, there should be consequences, especially a guy where there's a violent past or potential for violence. I just don't have the stomach for these guys. I really don't. I think we've been fortunate that the Celtics really haven't had anybody that would fall into this kind of situation, and it doesn't mean they won't in the future. But your team has to become tough to root for. I don't know how, as a Hornets fan, if there are actually any Hornets fans. I sit there and cheer for your team when they're running out bridges 35 minutes a game. It's just, I don't know how you do it.
And what's the owner of the Clippers? Steve Ballmer, or is that the Mets? I get them confused.
No, it's Steve Ballmer. Yeah,
it is Steve Ballmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got money coming out of his ears. The guy from the Mets does too. But you want the Clippers, who are a joke of a franchise, to be taken serious. Donald Sterling was horrible.
They haven't been a joke. I mean, they've been.
Let me finish my point. Historically, they're a joke. That's what they are historically. Laughing stock of the league, and this is why. Because this is the type of stuff the Clippers would do. You don't need this guy to win games. He doesn't really help you move the needle. So why would you sign him? This makes me a very likable team that has great coaches that plays really hard. I'm rooting. I don't want to see them be successful at all. Like I didn't know until yesterday. I think you said it on the pod that he was on their team, and I was like baffled by that. I was like, that guy's in the league. Like I don't remember him being even a great player. Like it's not like he. I know he's a high volume shooter, but they don't go in. So like, what's he even like offer basketball wise? It's just it's crazy to me. It kind of pisses me off that he's like he shouldn't be out there.
No, they don't need him either. Like, I think that's the thing you're kind of hitting at is that he's not been like central to their success or anything like that this season. It's been Harden and Zubac and Norm Powell, really. And then the other guys just kind of filling in and playing their role and playing it well. And I certainly think you could find someone to replace Kevin Porter to keep those trains on schedule. Yeah,
And
no,
that's the thing too. Tommy would have said something. Tommy would have said something controversial. It would have been a story, and it would have been great. Like
yeah,
he would have said,
and he would not have apologized. So
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. That's the kind of stuff I miss.
I feel like he could say almost anything and get away with it. It's at some points in his career.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Any closing thoughts as we head into Thanksgiving? The NBA Cup, a tough week for the Celtics, schedule wise. Anything we've missed on certain players or anything like that?
I hope everybody, our listeners, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. It was it's a good time to just relax and eat some good food, and then Friday, let's enjoy the Celtics kick the Bulls' ass and go to Vegas.
That's right. That's right. And when people bring up politics around the dinner table this week, you don't have to get up from the table. You just change the subject to the Celtics, and there's a lot of positives to talk about. What's
flip
that?
It over.
Flip
it over. Beat the shit out of your uncle. Just do it. I think that's what we need. We need a good fight. We just let it out. Let the aggression out.
Well, there's two approaches here. You can do that, or you could talk about the Celtics, or I guess the third one is you can engage on the politics and ruin everyone else's time. So yes. Completely up to you. Completely up to you on how it goes. But happy Thanksgiving. We will.
Jim, I'm gonna get a "Make America Great Again" hat and wear it to the Thanksgiving table to see what kind of reactions I get.
You should.
I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start wearing it everywhere. Actually, the movie theaters, whatever. I'm just gonna start wearing it.
It's like Larry David, that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he just wanted to be left alone, and so he throw that hat on wherever he went.
I'm doing it for a scientific experience. I just want to have people assume things about me and just wear it and see what people think. I don't know. I'm gonna get some gear, some MAGA gear. I'm gonna go to one of those MAGA stores and just buy a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I'll be talking about the Celtics because I want to be positive and uplifting and 15-3 over 18 games and NBA champion and all that stuff is exactly that. So enjoy.
Yeah, they're making Boston great again. They're making Boston. They're putting us on the bat. On the map.
Well, I wish I could do something about those friggin' bike lanes in the city. If we want to make Boston great again, can we spend some time talking about those goddamn bike lanes that the mayor has put in?
There you go with the negativity. All right. There you go.
Yeah. That's what I'm bringing up at Thanksgiving.
No, I'm getting
and not only bike lanes. If I could have everyone, it's not only bike lanes. You also have gigantic parking spots next to the bike lanes.
It's so negativity. This is the problem right there.
You used to have 4 lanes. 4 lanes you could drive down on places like Arlington Street, and now you have 2. Oh, you'd have 3 lanes, but now you have 2 because you have gigantic bike lanes that I don't even see bikes on during rush hour.
Well, stop being such a pussy and get a bike. Go buy a bike. Ride a bike and get out of your car. Get some.
Yeah, I'll ride a bike from Boston down to Pembroke.
Just do it. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a Michelle Wu T-shirt for our next call.
See what you've done to me?
Make America Great Again hat. That's gonna be my outfit for the next pod.
Yeah. Well, it was good to see. It was good to see her at the White House for the Celtics championship presentation there, which I was at.
Oh, that lady didn't watch a game. She doesn't know basketball.
All right, everyone. This is why we should talk about the Celtics and not other things. Well.
I got one more important thing to say. one more really important thing to say. All
I
right?
get a feeling something inappropriate's coming that I'm going to have to cut off, but go ahead.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not inappropriate at all. I agree with Jimmy on Thanksgiving. It's a good time of year to talk about the Celtics because, man, are they good. And this team, I'm going to say it now on the podcast, Jimmy. I'm putting it out there. They're winning back-to-back championships with Kristaps Porzingis healthy. Nobody's beating this team. Everybody's miles away from the Celtics. And that's what I'm ending with, some positivity. They're making Boston great again.
Well, way to take a brave take. They are the favorites. So way to go out on a limb there, Mike. All
I
right,
try to be
everyone.
positive.
I'll see you. Happy
See ya.
Thanksgiving.